Hello, fellow model kit builders. So I found this on Taobao. Now, many Western countries, you only have access to Taobao, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to find this. If you look up, I found it translated as Zimi, Z-I-M-I, as the manufacturer of this. But if you just look up J20Q, you might be able to find it. I did see it on Amazon, but I'm not sure if it's this model kit, because I think there's a couple different companies making a J20 in deformed shapes, so no guarantees. I can't help you. All I can do is review this thing. Alright, so obviously if you can read Chinese, is that Zimi? I don't know. I'm going to guess it's for ages 14 and up. Why I bought this is because it's already pre-painted. So here's a part number if you want to look that up. 2 different thruster details, open and closed bomb bay doors, and the instructions are on the back, which is convenient. Nothing here. So reading some Wikipedia, this plane is made by Chengdu and is, I believe, China's first stealth fighter, but I might be mistaken there. Let's see. First flight was in 2011. It was started production in 2009. It's still being made today. More than 300 of them have been made. The thing had a speed of Mach 2. Wingspan of 13 meters and a length of 21 meters. NATO code names this the Fagin or Fagin. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I think the Chinese nicknamed it the Mighty Dragon. Alright, so let's take a look at this model kit now. So we got this all protecting that thing. And then this is in a bag to protect the paint, I guess, from getting scratched up from the bottom. So far, pretty impressive. Pretty well thought out. We have some water slide decals. Alright, a cockpit decal in particular. And then we have, look, the pre-painted canopy. The canopy is one of the worst parts about painting model planes, because they're just poorly designed. But this one, even if it wasn't painted, let's see if it's a good idea. No, it's not. This is perfectly smooth. So I could never paint that. This is actually 2 paint apps. They're a little bit off, I think, maybe. I think I saw a break, but I could never paint a straight black line like that, right? I actually think that paint is on the inside. Oh, look at this. There's a ledge on the inside. So that's how they got it without getting it on these surfaces. Yeah, so the paint's on the inside. Quite interesting. It's perfectly smooth on the outside. And then there's some sort of, I don't know what this represents. A defroster, maybe? Not sure. Very cool, though. And then the heads-up display thing is also painted, this greenish and with the black border. And some sort of sensor, probably on the outside of the plane, is painted silver outside the windows. So really cool. Very, very cool. Alright, let's see about this. I guess these are originally gray color, but now look, we have all the white painted that on both sides. Very nice. Look at this, even the inside of the hatches are white, but not on the jagged edges for stealth there. Look at this deformed missile, it's awesome. This is a matte black for the, I guess, engine internals, and then this is the first time I've seen smartly designed wheels, where literally the tire is a separate piece that slides over the wheel. Maybe that's what it is. That's probably a wheel. So that's how 1/64 scale cars do it. I don't know why all model kits just don't make tires like real things. A wheel and a tire. Good paint separation. Look at this helmet. Even the side of the helmet, the buckles are painted black. This is nice and glossy. The hose, the sky is green. Yeah, with black shoes. The gloves are green, but anyways, there's a harness here if you want to add even more detail, but I probably won't. And then this is like a silver metallic, nicely done. Well, this is quite interesting. There's actually 2 colors on these parts. Really neat. So I think there are some updates over the production life of this to make it stealthier. So the original ones just had conventional outlets, but now with the jagged edges, they're supposed to be stealthier, deflecting radar to different directions. This is awesome. I really wish all model kits came painted like this. Now, of course, when I clip off the plastic, it's going to show the original gray. But it's easier to touch up a nub mark than to paint the whole part, right? Alright, the last bag here. So it's like a metallic finish, but with a different metallic for the splotches, like a silver and gunmetal. And these leading edges are like an off-white and some gray. Very cool. Look at this. These wings have like molded in these really finely molded details. Like those are so fine. This is a toothpick. Look how fine that detail is. Really impressive. And again, the separation of color is fantastic. In certain light, it kind of vanishes, but it's just more obvious in certain angles. And so, yeah, you can see here, it's like a silver body with a gunmetal camo pattern. But then, like this little, I assume, refueling port is painted white. The cockpit's all black. The nose is a gray. This is awesome. Oh, look at this. Even here, we have yellow for those little lights or whatever they are there. Alright, well, I'm going to clip these off and maybe touch up the edges. I'm going to use my Rui tool clippers, and I'll just touch up the edges, I guess, with a paintbrush or maybe a paint marker, because silver is pretty common, same with gunmetal. So we'll fast forward that, and then maybe I'll slow down the build process a little bit, and then come back for the review at the end. put most of it together, but not all of it, because I'm never going to pose it in flight mode. The reason being, these hatches are so tight. If I push this in, it'll never come out again. But if you do want it in flight mode, it's going to be a nice and tight, seamless finish. In fact, see, I can't get this out already. Alright, that could be a problem. Yeah, luckily I didn't push that in all the way, and poster putty saves the day. So I gotta say, this is a really well done model kit. I really wish, if every model kit was like this, I'd build so many more. The decals were totally unnecessary. When I look at photographs of images, I don't see anything with red stars on it. I don't see anything with a shark face. I also don't even see any with these Chinese red stars, unless this is a really dark, like early prototype, I'm guessing. So all these other markings are already here. They're already all tampo printed. So you could just put it together and leave it alone. The only registration numbers I see were around here, but it's not going to fit here, so I just put them on the wings here. The only place I needed to glue were the bottom of these rear verticals or slanted stabilizers. They kept falling out as I was twisting this out to do decals, so these are the only two pieces I glued. And I would recommend that you don't glue anything else. The reason why is I had to take it apart like twice. One part is this. These canards are actually camouflage painted, but the bottoms are not. So I put them in backwards. So that's one reason I had to take it apart. Another reason is I just didn't cut the flash enough, and I had some gaps. So I went back and cut off the flash even further, and you can see it's a pretty tight fit now, even without glue. Ooh, careful. I put some decal softener there. Might tear that off. Alright, so another reason is these are extremely tight. I don't think you're going to get those in very easily. I had to scrape the paint off all of them very much, and also scrape the paint out of the holes they were going into in order for them to sit below this line, because I was thinking I would actually show you, the thing with the hatch closed. But I already know if I push this down all the way, it's never gonna come out. So I'm not gonna do that. But I like the idea of those missiles in there, so what I'm gonna do is, well, I don't know. I'm gonna show you these hatches here, and I see there's a thicker tab and a thinner tab, so there's a front and back. But see, I cannot push those in. They're just very tight, so I might have to scrape the paint off. Wait, there we go. Alright. So one, I guess, positive of that is they're never going to fall out easily. They're quite tight. Alright, so... yeah, so it's nice that they give you these, covers. And I guess if you were willing to scrape all the paint off, then they would be loose enough maybe to come out. Because now I am tempted to keep it in flight mode because I want to see those missiles, but it would never be in landing mode with those missiles. Right? Yeah, so I don't know. That's supposed to go in there, but I don't want to deal with it. So naturally the front canards, you can see they spin. And then the rear verticals are also on pegs. These are trapped. They won't come out. But these they're just a straight shaft, so if you pull at an angle, you can pull them out, so it makes putting the decal on a lot easier. They're not the thickest shafts though, so I'd be careful of breaking those. I'm noticing there's some gaps right here on the leading edges. That's pretty interesting. Alright, so now the only decal I would suggest that actually is necessary is the cockpit decal. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but it's there, so you might as well put it on. This thing friction fits nice, and yeah, so you might want to get like some black paint, or I use these display paint markers to quickly touch up stuff, and they work great. So I did it on the tires and all that. But the helmet, I didn't have a matching gray. This is my display marker, and so this other dot is where the two nub marks were. This one covered up pretty well, but And then this hose is set to be in this location only, where it just runs into the arm. It's not actually a round peg, I don't think, so you can't really twist it. So be careful of that. Just make sure it's kind of like in this 45-degree angle. It's meant to like bottom out on the arm. The head could pose a little bit left and right, but not so much this direction because the hose is kind of in the way, right? I don't have a paint marker of this color. I wish Display had other paint markers, but they seem to only cater to Gundams instead of like military models. I actually emailed them telling them they should make military colors, drab colors. Alright, so anyways, you can see there's actually like a peg hole, I guess, for this body to just fit around. And yeah, that fits in fine. And now the canopy, I haven't even test fit this. Just a little extra plastic. And nice. Nope, goes on this way. How tight is that? Well, decently tight. Just careful not to press down the decal. It's still setting. So that pilot is very snug to the canopy. So it's pretty cool actually. So it's a bigger pilot head. And that little heads-up display is pretty awesome to look at too. It's really nice this model. I'm really impressed with how well it's executed. Alright, so landing gear here. What I'm trying to figure out is if the landing gear will... Yeah, alright, so you can pose it with the doors open with the landing gear. It does seem like I do need this panel though. So yeah, this is going to be tough to put in. I think, well, I'm afraid if I use plier, the tweezers, I might scratch the paint. But I don't know how else I'm going to get it in there. Or maybe you want to try to put these on before those Bombay doors, but it's just so snug to, even with the Bombay door, it's difficult. So I am going to try to remove that. So that's in the closed position. This is the landing gear open position. Alright, so that one's easier because it's at an angle. Maybe you can just test fitting these. This one was kind of loose, so maybe it is possible to remove these panels. Now, you're never going to get that off with that friction without prying and destroying the paint. Hold on, I'm gonna chip the paint off of this stuff so it becomes really loose. So I changed my mind. The easy solution is I just clipped off all the pegs from these things. So some poster putty will take it off, right? Because this thing's still recessed on sitting on these ledges. I don't think it's gonna fall out either. So that works out. The side ones are a little more difficult though. I haven't even tried to take these out yet. Let's see if it can be done. I think if you flex, some tweezers in there, yeah, it's probably doable. I scraped all the paint off of them, off these pegs to make them looser. So I think if you just scraped off a little more paint, you can remove these things. So I guess let me put this back and we'll put it on a flight stand. That's why I drilled that hole there. So you should compare it to some photos while we're at it, so you can see here all the crazy, movement of these wings, and you can duplicate that in this model kit if you wanted to. The camo pattern, obviously it's not matching this one, but they get the general idea of a darker color on a lighter color, although it is metallic. Maybe they chose metallic to represent like that radio, what is it, the stuff that absorbs radar signatures and stuff, radar waves. I've never seen one up close, a stealth fighter, so I don't know. Yeah, there it is with the Bombay doors open. Alright, very cool, very cool. And yeah, this one's got the traditional outlets, which I didn't put on. They're just too plain looking. Alright, so let me get this on this little 3D printed flight stand I made. Let this go for a spin and get a low view here. I guess these can go away. So there's a lot of molded details on this thing. There's some sort of bump on the bottom there. Look inside those engines. Very cool. All the little details. All these panel gaps are really nice to see. Again, the table printing is nice. There's some black paint on this side as well. Yeah, even on the top surface, I don't know, but there's some sort of recess there with a black paint app going on. Yeah, nicely done. I might have to sand the top of those and add some new gray paint there. So the nub marks, they're pretty minuscule. They're not too atrocious. I don't think a kid would mind, but if you're an adult like me, you might want to touch them up. Alright, so let me try the landing mode now. So we'll just take those out. Nice and tight. My poster putty here. Alright. Let's see about this side now. Yeah, these hatches are so tight, it's really hard to actually get something in there. But maybe with poster putty, you get a gap. Or not. I heard it snap. I can't just pull it up because all the serrations are trapping it, so I'm going to come back after I use a toothpick and tweezers. Alright, finally got those out. Now let's see if it's difficult to put these. Yeah, see, there's all this paint on there. Actually, that wasn't too bad. What about this side? Actually, not so bad. Alright, so now this wheel, I don't know. It seems, I'm going to guess this is the correct side wheel. Not. No, there seems to be some sort of angled approach here. It's not a rectangle, so it's interesting because the linkages are in the front. I would think that would get dirty, but a real plane that is. Yeah, so unfortunately, now this one is actually too loose. I could just add some poster putty. Alright, so the rears are in, and they're quite stable, having that shape to them. The front one, I guess I should probably put in this first. Alright, that's not going to fall out very easily. I see. So this is the one part, I guess, that could be painted by you to match the rest of the body. That's supposed to be, you know, silver or something like that, or gunmetal color. Ooh, that display gunmetal is way too dark. Yeah, it'll do for today. This is quite tight. I almost feel like it's colliding with this hatch cover. So in this case, I'm going to put the landing gear in first. Still very tight. I will say the wheel is smartly done. The tire is not a full circle because it's all this. It just goes around the white part of the landing gear. That's a really, there's the nub, but it's a really smart way for them to design the tire as a separate piece. So this, I think, is going to be problematic. I'm going to have to scrape the paint off. And I just use the hobby knife to do that sort of stuff. It's just quick. Hopefully that's enough. The hole is actually a hexagon. Alright, that's still very tight, but it did help out. Alright, so now it's actually not in all the way. I'm afraid of it might be hard to get out. That's the wrong thing. Alright, there we go. Now we have landing mode. And it wasn't too painful. And I look at the photos, the rear wheels of this thing are dark gray. So it's not they weren't lazy. I mean, it would be nice if they're dark gray, but yeah, I guess it's better that they're black than white. Although instinctively I kind of think they should all be the same color, but that's just me. I did also add black paint in there. That's another reason why I took it apart, because those are just the same, you know, gunmetal or light color. So I just used a paint marker to paint those panels black inside there. So let's look at some other stealth fighters. So Hasegawa has the F-22 Raptor. I didn't paint the things black in there because it's just one piece. It'd be really difficult to do. Great Wall Hobby, or GWH, they have this F-35, which for some reason this nose cone piece is gappy. I don't know why. And that, still, other than that, it's a really nice model kit. Nice and easy, much better than Hasegawa, which is quite difficult because they don't have much panel difference between the and the cockpit, what should be painted and what shouldn't. And the last one is a 3D printed model that it had painted by this person on Taobao. Ships of Cats. He does planes and boats and all that stuff. And that's the, what, Pak 50? Or is the Russian stealth fighter. I forget what it's, T-50? It has 3 different names. Alright, so let me get a low angle here so we can see the landing gear and all that stuff. It's nice that they all have pilots. Some brands don't include pilots. Tiger Model, for instance. But I really like Tiger Model's deformed planes. Yeah, at first I was thinking just leaving it in landing mode, but now that I know it has those opening bomb bay doors, I might actually switch back to the flight mode. Nevertheless, this is a very pleasant surprise. Unfortunately for most of you guys, you might not be able to buy this kit. As I mentioned, I bought this off Taobao. But if you go look up Zimi J20Q, maybe you can find it on Amazon. At least that's what I saw on the internet. Only a very minor amount of touch-up paint, and it'll look like a professionally painted model. I mean, it is professionally painted. That camo job is really fantastic. All the tampo printing is not going to fall off. Only the decals might fall off. But I guess you could, you know, do a clear coat over this. Just don't clear coat the canopy or it's going to end up all, you know, distorted. Alright, thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you in the next deformed airplane video, and let's hope this brand comes out with other models. Thanks, we'll see ya.